Good morning, Cyber friends. This is Mitty Man coming back at you from Walker's Musical Yet. Another word for today, Monday morning edition. We thank God for life, health, and strength. For as well as it is, we give Him the glory. It could have been another way, but we're glad and we give Him honor. We also want to say that it's another day's journey, and I'm not tired yet. We sometimes we get a little weary, get a little rough around the edges, but nevertheless, we keep going. In other words, 27 Psalms tell us that. In other words, he said, the Lord is the strength of my life. And he said, who shall I be afraid? In other words, I will not be afraid because the Lord is the joy and he is the strength of my life. Therefore, I will take courage. It said, fret not thyself in 37 Psalm, because the evildoers neither be enemies of the workers of iniquity, for they shall soon be cut off. In other words, we do not have to worry about that either. We should always keep our head up. You know, in the book of Ecclesiastes, it tells us that there's a time for all things that's up under the heaven. And it goes on and it lists all the things that Solomon has said, that all is vanity. And the one thing that that sticks out like a sore thumb, it sticks out like a sore thumb in that is that when Solomon says that there's a time to speak and then there's a time to keep silent. And you know, sometimes that is the hardest thing for us to do, especially if we feel that we are right. It's kind of hard to keep silent when we feel that we are right. And as you notice, I said when we feel that we are right. But let me add a little something onto that the end of that statement, people. There's a way that seems right unto man, but the end of there is death. Now, a lot of times we can know things and it could be true, but nevertheless, we do not have to speak those things. In other words, when Jesus was with his disciples, he often confided in that inner circle, which was Peter, James, and John. He did not disclose a lot of the stuff to the other nine, but for instance, his transfiguration on the mount, when he showed Peter, James, and John his glory, and he revealed to him that he was the Son of God. More, the rest of them weren't there. And what we need to do, and what I feel, you know, like I said, is not, the Word of God is not up for popular opinion. In other words, God doesn't need Mitty Man to validate His Word. His Word validates itself. Now, Jesus told his disciples, he said, go ye into all the world and preach this gospel. Now, people, he didn't tell them what size spoon to use, but he told them to teach. And he told Peter to feed his sheep. He didn't tell them how to, but he said feed them. But he said, not with coercion. In other words, don't force feed people. People, the ones that God has entrusted to carry the gospel, in other words, every believer should be able to preach and tell what the hope that's within them and to lead others to the master. Every Christian should be able to do that. But every Christian was not called to the pulpit. See, we some of us don't forget about that. God has people that he has anointed to do certain things. Now, all of us can carry the gospel. You don't have to go to Colgate University to do that. No. Every believer should be able to proclaim the gospel and tell others and lead others to Christ. I feel that is a qualification. You should be able to do that. But not everybody is called to a pulpit. Not everybody is called to pastor, male or female. It doesn't matter. Now, there are ministry gifts, surely, truly, and there are administrations in the church. But everybody's not called to fill those ministrations. There are certain people that God anoints to do just that. Should we be jealous of them? No. Just do what you're supposed to do. I feel, and I look from the word of God, I can see everywhere where there was deception, the betrayal, and everything from Jesus to Paul. It was Demas with Paul. Demas forsake Paul. He said, Paul said, Demas has left me. And he never again wanted to have any dealing with one of the others that Paul saw that, if you're not with me when it's thick, I don't need you when it's thin. That's what Paul was saying in essence. So what I'm saying today, and hopefully for the rest of this week, I got a lot of things that I'm going to try to do. Got a lot of things on my plate. On the other hand, too, I got a lot of movement I got to do this week. Musically, I got some projects that I got to do around the house as well as in my studio, and I got some trips to take as well. But nevertheless, God's going to give me grace to do every one of them, and I don't have to worry about it. Whenever they come to me, I'm going to do them as they come. Many Man has decided that he live one day at a time. He don't try to live tomorrow or today. God can't do that. And one thing that we must also realize, people, that there is nothing you can do about people. People have free will. People have freedom of their own mind on the choices they make. Now, we can want real bad for people to make the right choices because of the experience that we have been through, and we be trying to spare them the heartache and the pain. But nevertheless, guess what? Some people you can't spare. When people decide to go, you just give them Godspeed, and you pray that God will wake them up before it's too late. And I don't know about y'all, but I'm talking about Many Man. Many Man did a self-examination. I always do self-examination, and I said, Lord, let me see all the mess in me, and let me start working on one thing at a time. Lord, I know I got many faults, but just let me not fail at this, treating people the way I want to be treated. But let me tell you something, even then, people, you'll get in trouble. Because most of the time, people will take your kindness for weakness, and once they see that they cannot manipulate you, then they label you, so you can't help that. In other words, you just must go to Christ yourself. And, be for real with yourself. To thine own self be true. That's what you need to do. And as long as you know that I've often told people this more times, I got teeth and tongue, and I ain't got many teeth no more because I went around there and messed up my darn self, and now I got to have dentists to make me some. I broke them out in the wrong place too, what make it so bad. But nevertheless, I'm not worried about that either. God gonna take care of that. But what I am saying is, I've seen more people fail by having too much to do, being too busy, than having too little to do. In other words, what we must do, this is what I ask God to help Many Man with. Lord, let me make certain that Many Man is right. Before I try to help anybody else, I got to be right myself. I cannot lead anybody anywhere that I haven't been. Neither can I try to straighten somebody out, and I got all this mess in my life. So I asked God to deal with Many Man, and I did soul searching. I looked in the mirror, and I got the magnifying glass, and I saw all the mess that was in me. And a lot of times we thinking other people is the one messed up, and when it really, in essence, is us that's messed up. So if we do a self-examination, we can see that a whole lot of times we are our own and worst enemy. If we would just take a close look in the mirror and do a self-examination, we'll find out a whole lot of times that it's not quote-unquote people. You see, you don't have anything to do with how people treat you, but you have everything to do with how you respond, how you react to how people treat you. In other words, you can do one or two things. When people give you lemon, you can suck that lemon and look ugly in the face and get frown all over and just take it and suck that sour lemon. Or you can just take some sugar and make some lemonade. It's up to you. And like an old sergeant used to tell me, the choice is yours. So with that being said, Many Man pray and hope that everybody have a great week. Regards to whatever you get or whatever you get into, always, if God is not in it, you come out of it. And let's make sure, keep God first. And if we keep God first, and let's get ourselves off the throne, it won't really matter what other people think about us no way. If you get your own self out the way, if you crucify your flesh, what people say and do to you won't matter. This is Many Man saying peace. Goodbye.